Hi everyone, this is Tong from People to World. People to World is a Michigan Business Network partner in China, and People to World is a bridge between US and China, helping American and Chinese students to each other's countries and studying and communicating. So here we have our first guest here, which is Mr. Chris Holman. And Chris, can you tell us about yourself, about your career, and how you reached your success?
Yeah, well, my career started in education actually because I went away to college to Eastern Michigan University and got a degree at one of the finer education colleges in Michigan, and then I went into teaching, and I was teaching and coaching and becoming an administrator at a high school for 10 years. And during that period, I kept going to school and finished an MS, or a Master's of Science in physiology. So I had a really nice 10-year career, which I always wanted to do. I wanted to teach, I wanted to coach, and it was very fulfilling. And then I wound up getting into business. And it was very interesting because we all the years I was growing up, we'd had a lot of Asian friends who were in the house. I've eaten with chopsticks since I was probably 4 years old. And so when I went into business, I wound up as the marketing sales director for a firm and really traveled to Asia, and had that as my territory, and really kind of fell in love with the Chinese culture. And that brings me today. I've done a number of things. I've started a number of companies. Some of them I've sold. Some of them I still have. And they're in a variety of different industries. But one of those that I'm most proud of is the Michigan Business Network, which, of course, we're talking from their studios here today. So this has been a tremendous communication tool and very fulfilling, because at this point we're helping cultural, educational, and business exchange, not only within the United States and the state of Michigan, but also in China.
Great. Thanks, Chris. And can you tell us a little bit about your education and how the education things leading to your career transforms, like what you said before?
It's kind of interesting because when I went to Eastern Michigan University and of course graduated from high school, and as I said, got what's called a Bachelor of Arts degree in education. Because again, I always wanted to teach. So that piece of it was very important, the degree and how I did academically. But equally as important were the extracurricular things that I was involved in. So I was always involved in student organizations, and I played baseball and did a lot of different things from the standpoint of organizations that really gave me a lot of experiences in a lot of different ways. So when I got my degree, my undergraduate degree, and went out into the workforce, I got a job right away. And a lot of it was because I'd had these many different types of experiences. So I had my job, started my career, and finished my master's. And those things, even when I left my career path of education, played really well into my business career as well. That background of the many different activities. So sometimes the academics are most important, but almost of equal importance are the experiences you have in the organizations you're involved in.
Great. So talking about the experience that you have, so what would you be the advice that you want to offer for the incoming Chinese students as far as they picking up the universities in U.S.?
Well, it's kind of interesting because some of the most fruitful stuff that I have done has not been within the businesses or the companies that I own, but externally. I've had the good fortune of being the chair of the Small Business Association of Michigan. I had the really good fortune of being the chair of the National Small Business Association and met with the president a couple of times on small business issues. And those things have been very fulfilling because the more organizations you get involved in, the more perspectives you see and the more ideas you get. So you have a better empathy or a better understanding of what people are thinking about and talking about. And my advice to Chinese students would be when they come here, first of all, getting into college here, generally speaking, the colleges that you want to get into because you've heard so much about them, the University of Michigan's, the Harvard's, places like that, in many cases almost unachievable. to get directly in.
Yeah.
But if you get into a community college, and we have a wonderful one here in mid-Michigan, matter of fact, the #1 community college in the state, Lansing Community College, you can go there for 2 years and build your academic credentials. Also, deal with any language barriers or problems that might be there as you're working it out. Understand our educational system and really perform well. And if you perform well enough, the odds are much better that you'll be able to get into that college or university that you want to get into through this path.
I think it's a really new angle for the Chinese students who wants to apply here. And also, another question is that in applying for college or universities, so what sorts of things that value most for the admission?
Well, of course, you know, academics is first because they always look at your scores and they look at your entry test scores. Here we have things like the SAT. And so how you score academically has a lot to do with it. One of the real beauties of a community college like Lansing Community College is it's open enrollment. So the enrollment is open to pretty much all levels of education because the feeling is we want to give you an opportunity at a college degree. If you're less prepared or more prepared, you still get an opportunity. So it all depends on how you go in there, how hard you work, and how well you do as to the opportunities that'll come at the end. So academics is important, but this experience of involvement, I think, is very important. They want to know if students coming in are socially well-rounded, if they've worked in groups, if they've worked in organizations that have put them in front of different situations, if they've kind of broadened their horizons, right? So they have a little more of a world view when they come into school. Those things are extremely important.
So you said about the experience, especially in the working area, right?
Yeah.
And so about that question is that tell me, like, when Chinese students, which is like on the progress of their educational things in U.S., then after that they want the more experience on the working.
Yeah.
Then what's the importance like of the internship?
Well, I think that is one of the things that is really essential, and it's interesting here because it used to be businesses hired people who got their bachelor's, then got their master's, then they hired them in. Now. Right. Industry is pretty much saying, get your bachelor's, go to work for a few years, get some experience, and then go back and get your master's, whether you stay with us or you do it separately, right? So get that work experience. Well, that work experience can also come during your educational process with an internship. And we're very fortunate here to have internships available, and we can put you in touch with those internships. And so that experience is another thing that the workforce looks at. It's not just, boy, they've done really well in their bachelor's program, they've gotten really high grades in their master's program, but they don't have any experience.
That's right.
So it'll be training them more. So you want to go out and get some of that training through internships if you possibly can.
So about the internship, what do you thinking about like how the Chinese students can get the internship? Because as you said, when the working challenges here, and they said you need the experience, but actually after they get graduated, they didn't have the experience, they don't have the chance to. So how can they get into
Well, and the interesting thing is, of course, you can apply. There are a lot of opportunities for internships, but very few that are truly available, I think, in particular to foreign students, right?
Yes.
And so a lot of times it's good to have someone who knows how to place people, or have an organization who knows how to place people, who knows how to call companies they know and say, hey, I've got a great intern here for you, you should take it. Those are some opportunities. A lot of times it's who you can find that can give you the referral to get that internship.
So what would you say about the referral process? Like how's that important in the the American in the American career system, and like how does that get in the ratio for the applying jobs?
Well, the thing is, in some cases, it's kind of who you know, and so if, for instance, I called a company and the owner of the company knew me well, they would know to trust me, and they would maybe accept certainly an intern that I might refer to them. So those are the ways that a lot of these things out of the normal scheme of just applying, a big company saying we've got 8 internships and 50 people apply, outside of that, this kind of personal placement, I think, has a real advantage.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Chris.
No,
and
it's my
appreciate
pleasure.
for your time. All of this interview will be posted on the People to Work in China WeChat channel platform in the near future.
So listen, a little wave to everybody in China. Come here. There's great opportunity in mid-Michigan, and we look forward to having you here.
That's right.
Thank you, Gene.
Thank you, Chris.
I appreciate it.